Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A state of depression and anhedonia so severe as to require clinical intervention. A period during the 1930s when there was a worldwide economic depression and mass unemployment. An air mass of lower pressure often brings precipitation. A concavity in a surface produced by pressing. A long-term economic state characterized by unemployment and low prices and low levels of trade and investment. A sunken or depressed geological formation. A mental state characterized by a pessimistic sense of inadequacy and a despondent lack of activity. Angular distance below the horizon, especially of a celestial object. Pushing down. Depression of the spacebar on the typewriter. Sad feelings of gloom and inadequacy. A state of depression and anhedonia so severe as to require clinical intervention. A state of depression and anhedonia so severe as to require clinical intervention. A period during the 1930s when there was a worldwide economic depression and mass unemployment. The economic crisis beginning with the stock market crash in 1929 and continuing through the 1930s. No longer sufficient. Supplies are low. The lowest forward gear ratio in the gearbox of a motor vehicle, used to start a car moving. Make a low noise, characteristic of bovines. Used of sounds and voices, low in pitch or frequency. An air mass of lower pressure often brings precipitation. A low moved in overnight bringing sleet and snow. Subdued or brought low in condition or status. Brought low. Of the most contemptible kind. A low stunt to pull. Filled with melancholy and despondency. Low or inferior in station or quality. A lowly parish priest. Very low in volume. A low murmur. British political cartoonist, born in New Zealand, who created the character Colonel Blimp, 1891 to 1963. A low level or position or degree. The stock market fell to a new low. Less than normal in degree or intensity or amount. Low prices. Literal meanings: being at or having a relatively small elevation or upward extension. Low ceilings. Unrefined in character. Low comedy. A concavity in a surface produced by pressing. He left the impression of his fingers in the soft mud. A symbol that is the result of printing or engraving. An outward appearance. He made a good impression. A clear and telling mental image. The events left a permanent impression in his mind. All the copies of a work printed at one time. A vague idea in which some confidence is placed. His impression of her was favorable. An impressionistic portrayal of a person. He did a funny impression of a politician. Dentistry, an imprint of the teeth and gums in wax or plaster. The dentist took an impression for use in preparing an inlay. The act of pressing one thing on or into the surface of another. He watched the impression of the seal on the hot wax. Mark or stamp with or as if with pressure. Establish or impress firmly in the mind. We imprint our ideas onto our children. An impression produced by pressure or printing. A concavity in a surface produced by pressing. A device produced by pressure on a surface. A distinctive influence. English stills bears the imprint of the Norman invasion. An identification of a publisher. A publisher's name along with the date and address and edition that is printed at the bottom of the title page. The book was published under a distinguished imprint. A long-term economic state characterized by unemployment and low prices and low levels of trade and investment. Fall heavily or suddenly. Decline markedly. Assume a drooping posture or carriage. A noticeable deterioration in performance or quality. The team went into a slump. Go down in value. Prices slumped. Fall or sink heavily. He slumped onto the couch. A long-term economic state characterized by unemployment and low prices and low levels of trade and investment. A sunken or depressed geological formation. Any mental disorder not caused by detectable organic abnormalities of the brain and in which a major disturbance of emotions is predominant. Any mental disorder not caused by detectable organic abnormalities of the brain and in which a major disturbance of emotions is predominant. Any mental disorder not caused by detectable organic abnormalities of the brain and in which a major disturbance of emotions is predominant. Any mental disorder not caused by detectable organic abnormalities of the brain and in which a major disturbance of emotions is predominant. A large body of air with uniform characteristics horizontally. A shape that curves or bends inward. A shape that curves or bends inward. The property possessed by a concave shape. A shape that curves or bends inward. A shape that curves or bends inward. The action of creating a curved shape. A crucial stage or turning point in the course of something. After the crisis, the patient either dies or gets better. An unstable situation of extreme danger or difficulty. They went bankrupt during the economic crisis. The condition of the economy. Geology, the geological features of the Earth. Geology, the geological features of the Earth. The act of forming or establishing something. The act of fabricating something in a particular shape. An arrangement of people or things acting as a unit. A defensive formation. A particular spatial arrangement. Creation by mental activity. The formation of sentences. Natural process that causes something to form. The formation of gas in the intestine. Psychology. A mental condition in which the qualities of a state are relatively constant even though the state itself may be dynamic. Psychology. A mental condition in which the qualities of a state are relatively constant even though the state itself may be dynamic. Psychology. A mental condition in which the qualities of a state are relatively constant even though the state itself may be dynamic. Psychology. A mental condition in which the qualities of a state are relatively constant even though the state itself may be dynamic. Relation by which any position with respect to any other position is established. Press, drive, or impel someone to action or completion of an action. He pushed her to finish her doctorate. The act of applying force in order to move something away. He gave the door a hard push. Make strenuous pushing movements during birth to expel the baby. Now push hard, said the doctor to the woman. An electrical switch operated by pressing. The elevator was operated by push buttons. Move with force. He pushed the table into a corner. Strive and make an effort to reach a goal. We have to push a little to make the deadline. Make publicity for, try to sell, a product. The salesman is aggressively pushing the new computer model. Approach a certain age or speed. She is pushing 50. The force used in pushing. The push of the water on the walls of the tank. Exert oneself continuously, vigorously, or obtrusively to gain an end or engage in a crusade for a certain cause or person. Be an advocate for. The Liberal Party pushed for reforms. Enterprising or ambitious drive. An effort to advance. The army made a push toward the sea. Move strenuously and with effort. The crowd pushed forward. Press against forcefully without moving. She pushed against the wall with all her strength. Sell or promote the sale of illegal goods such as drugs. The guy hanging around the school is pushing drugs. The act of applying force in order to move something away. The pushing is good exercise. The quality of excessive mournfulness and uncheerfulness. Emotions experienced when not in a state of well-being. The state of being sad. She tired of his perpetual sadness.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.